Good morning. Welcome to Ramblings with Joe. It is not a slow news day, but I am tired of the news. It is. I woke up and sometimes when you pick up your phone or you look at your newspaper, whatever you're doing, you just can't get in the mood for all the ugliness in the world. So, and I know when I'm having one of those days because I look at the news and nothing catches my attention. I've read a couple articles and just nothing has reached out and grabbed me. Nothing said, hey, this is interesting to you today. And it's overwhelming, is what it is. So, Gaza, I hope the best for the Middle East. I'm not saying I don't care. I do. It just didn't catch my attention. It just didn't grab me and say, hey, this is still happening. And it should. And I'm wondering if maybe we're just overwhelmed with information at times. We, as a species, we're not designed to have this much information. The idea that I know what is going on in Gaza right now, that's the other side of the world. The idea that I know what's going on in Germany, not even from the news, just from talking to a friend, that's really strange when you sit down and think about it. And the human race needs to grow to the point where we understand that grabbing all this information and digesting it and learning from it is something that is something that's okay to do, but we also have to have a break from it occasionally. Last night, after work, I come home. We have a system. And the system is my wife gets to pick something, one or two things off of YouTube or Rumble or whatever we're looking at, and then I get to pick a couple things, and we kind of watch some videos and stuff. And lately I've been finding myself choosing my normal videos. I tend to listen to Lefty's Losing It and Russell Brand. I tune him in occasionally. Used to be Charlie Kirk occasionally. This last time I listened to Louder with Crowder. Last night, no matter what came on the we use the TV to watch these things, and I always have my phone in my hand in case I need to look something up. I wasn't interested in anything. It's all just so overwhelming at times, all this information and all this antagonism toward each party has toward the other party. Nothing last night caught my attention. Nothing this morning could keep my attention. And the news can become overwhelming. And last night I kept finding myself returning to Instagram and social media, looking for personal interaction. I think that's what we're missing. So I'm flipping through the reels on Instagram. I'm not even looking at them. I'm just giving my mind something to do, some kind of busy work to occupy itself with, so that I don't need to think about all of the incredibly ugliness that is going on in the world right now. And I'm not sure why. And my theory is that it's just we're not designed for that level of information. Now the problem becomes if you walk away from the information that is important in the world, if you walk away from that and you're no longer looking at it and no longer paying attention to it, things can get away from us. Once it came into my understanding that the news media, the legacy media, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, CNN. That you know the big ones, the ones that seem to have all the money, and which I have a funny suspicion they'll be losing quite a bit of it with the advent of the internet and citizen journalism. But once it came into my sphere of knowledge that these organizations might not be telling us the truth, and I started to discount them, it can be very disheartening for that news feed when you look at it and you have to question, is this true? One of the articles I read this morning, tried to read, they were talking about the negotiations and between Gaza and Israel, and they kept taking these little shots at Trump. And Trump is bombastic. He's an idiot. He's our president. There's nothing we can do about that for the next couple of years, 2-3 years. I'm not saying everything he's doing is bad. The Abraham Accords are incredible. The idea that he got that passed during his first administration is just an outstanding accomplishment. And then there's a lot of things that are horrible. The article kept slighting the president in these demeaning ways, even though the article was trying to convey hope that the president was going to be successful in the negotiations between both sides of this conflict. I had to ask myself why. Why are the authors of this article doing that? And my answer is they don't like Trump. They don't want him to be successful. But somewhere in their consciousness, they want the negotiations to be successful so that this conflict can end. So the writers, they're not being honest with themselves. Because if they were being honest with themselves, they would not be including all of these little shots at Trump. But they are. And the editors must have the same line of thinking or the same feelings as the writers because they let it slip past them. An article can convey an idea without being negative about any side. Remember the facts. We can have just the facts. We can be overwhelmed by the information. Also, we can be affected by the reporter's ability to instill within every article their political opinion, even when they don't know they're doing it. I don't know if they knew they were doing it. I don't know if this was a conscious decision on their part, but I do know it was there. And that was disheartening, and I didn't want to read it. Now, when it comes to the global news situation, it's very difficult not to turn back to legacy news because they have the resources to have boots on the ground in those areas of the world. Boots on the ground does not mean honesty in reporting. Yellow journalism is real, and whether they know they're doing it or not, it's happening. I think that is also part of why we all at some point feel overwhelmed about watching the news, about trying to keep up with current events worldwide. So being overwhelmed with so much information, and then in the back of our minds, understanding that, yeah, even all this information we're getting may not be true, or it may be spun so that they're trying to make us look at it a certain way. That can be disheartening and unmotivating for us to look at the news. This is part of why we have such low voter turnout. The idea that there is such low voter turnout is a little bit disheartening as well. This is over 300 million people in America. I'm pretty sure we should have at least a couple 100 million people show up to vote. I would think it would be closer to 250, but we don't, because people don't believe it makes a difference. People's religious beliefs don't allow them to go to the polls. People who are misled think that every person in government is corrupt, and perhaps a lot of them are, but that's the state of affairs we're in America. It is the inability to comprehend the information that we are given on a daily basis. And it used to be, if you wanted to keep up with current events, you'd watch the 6 o'clock news. And that was it. You could get a newspaper and go a little bit further in depth, but that was kind of it. The legacy media was all you had to depend on. Now, back in the day, I think they had a little bit higher moral standard and ethical standard, and they kept the truth more in front of us. But we can't know that for sure. I mean, perhaps this has been going on for generations, and we're just not aware of it. It's Tuesday. I want to say terrible Tuesday, but I need to adjust my attitude a little bit and find a better way of addressing the day of the week. It's tumultuous Tuesday. It is. I am fidgety this morning. I'm touching things and moving things around, and I need to stop that. Totalitarian Tuesday. Tremendous Tuesday. We have all been blessed with another day in our life. We don't have to have an appreciation to the point where we fall on our knees and give thanks for every day, but we should have an appreciation for every day that we are given a blessing of life and the people around us. And it's Tremendous Tuesday. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to try and make the world a better place with each and every decision I make, whether it's for my loving wife or for a perfect stranger that I happen to meet on the street. I am going to concentrate on making people smile. I am going to concentrate on making my direct surroundings a better place. I need some Eubora. It is time to have some Eubora. So I'm going to go get me a bag if I get off work early enough today. Tremendous Tuesday. I hope that you all have a tremendous Tuesday. I hope you go out there and you find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, Lahi Traut. Wow. That was a rambling on a level that was way beyond anything I usually do.